today's readings, both from the first reading from the prophet Amos and also from our gospel reading, we have a very similar theme. The theme is complacency. The theme is completely being unaware of those who are in need around us. The theme is that the path by which we follow, especially if we don't really see others in need, that we may not make it. We may become like the rich man who entered the bosom of Abraham. Well, he did not, but Lazarus did, but he was separated forever. We have that first reading from Amos. Amos lived 2,700 years ago. He was a prophet from the the southern kingdom who went to the northern kingdom about 750 BC. So there he goes. And what does he do? Inspired by the Lord, he is inviting and challenging the people of the north who became quite wealthy. As you may remember in history, King David created an incredible kingdom. Solomon had a special gift, but after Solomon, because of the infidelity on the part of Solomon, the kingdom was divided. 10 northern tribes of Israel formed a country called Israel, and then the 2 tribes in the south around Jerusalem formed the kingdom of Judah. The northern kingdom was very wealthy. The land is great, farming, everything else, trade, so they became quite well-to-do. But as the first reading says to us, woe to the complacent in Zion, lying upon beds of ivory, stretched comfortably on their couches. They eat lambs taken from the flock and calves from the stall, improvising to the music of the harp like David. They devise their own accompaniment. They drink wine from bowls, anoint themselves with best oils. Okay, so here's the description, powerful description of those who are complacent. They have everything, so they don't need anybody. And then the key words here, key phrases, yet they are not made ill by the collapse of Joseph. They're not made ill. They're so indifferent, they're feeling disgraced. They do not see the destruction that is taking place to their nation, to their country. They do not see it. And the destruction is because infidelity to God. This is the ongoing theme of the Old Testament. You start worshiping idols, and so therefore there's consequences. Any form of idol worship, whether it's material, whether it's the pagan gods, and they're not faithful to the covenant. The covenant is the very foundation of their protection by God. If they're faithful to the covenant, the commandments, code of holiness, taking care of people, including aliens, all those, God will bless them. If they're not, they expose themselves to the consequences of sin. And so there it is. Yet they have everything, they're happy, partying, and yet they are not made ill by the collapse of Joseph. They're not made ill. They don't feel anything. And that's the difficulty, is the type of self-absorption, the type of just preoccupation with self that is not making them able to see anything but their own comforts. The gospel basically is the same. We see the rich man and Lazarus. Rich man is feasting every day, taking care of it, dining sumptuously, but at his door was a poor named Lazarus, covered with sores, who would gladly have eaten his fill from the scraps that fell from a rich man's table. Yes, he is right in front of his eyes, but he doesn't see him. He doesn't see him. Again, blinded by his own needs, enjoying life. And then what happens is, it seems there's total difference between the two, poor and the rich, but then both die. Both die, whether rich or poor, people have to die, and they can't take with them beyond the grave. So the rich man died also, and from the netherworld where he was in torment, he raised his eyes and saw Abraham far off and Lazarus at his side. He sees Lazarus, the poor man. Now he recognizes him. He finally sees him, and then he's in heaven. And he himself is someplace else. And then he cries out, Father Abraham, have pity on me. Send Lazarus to dip his tip of the finger in water and so to cool my tongue. I am suffering torments in these flames. And of course, the Abraham speaks the truth, the one who is faithful to God, the one who brought forth the belief in the true God. God has revealed himself, so he's the one. Abraham is the one who has come to know the true God. And so he's the one, my child, remember that you received what is good during your lifetime. Lazarus did not. Now he's comforted here, whereas you were tormented. And then one more aspect, the truth. Yet between us and you, a great chasm is established to prevent anyone from crossing who might wish to go from one side to the other, which is a permanent condition. This is what Jesus is telling us. Type of warning. So what is that invitation? The invitation is, first of all, to understand we as human beings haven't really didn't change that much. With the 2,700 years ago, we haven't really grown. Why? Because one is God made us in his image, but we are affected by sin. Unless we recognize sin, unless we recognize the brokenness which has been introduced, then there's all kinds of blindness. Sin causes blindness. Sin causes division. Sin causes indifference. Sin causes make us reject one another. That's what ultimately is. Because if we have the same God, if we are all brothers and sisters, we can't do so. We cannot do it. There's something that Pope Francis was kind of pushing and reminding us a number of times. He says, our culture today became a throwaway culture, cancel culture. I don't need this, I don't need that, I don't need him, I don't need her. I can say, does atheist need me as a priest? No, he doesn't need me. He cares less what I do, what I have. Does someone from one political party today or the other, do they need him? No. As a matter of fact, they don't want them. Sometimes it's children who kind of forget their parents when they're older because they are preoccupied. They have to, make a living, whatever. Or sometimes within a society, who's the Lazarus? Not wanted, rejected. Who are they? Who are those who are rejected and unwanted from our own families, or perhaps neighbors, or those who we're associated with? I remember one lady who works in the medical field, and they have work at night as a tech, and someone who just kept on talking about his life, everything, 24/7. It seemed like never stopped, and so all the techs were kind of afraid, to really criticize him. He was a special kind, so everybody took care of him in the sense of being quiet. But as this lady said to me, she says, we grew to hate him so much, we couldn't stand him. We talked behind his back. He says, I never gossip as much in my life as I'm doing right now. I just can't take him, take him. This is what happens to us, throwaway culture, rejection, cancellation. Why? Because the sin blinds us as to the importance of each human being, each human person, with his dignity, the value that we have, the value that Jesus himself recognizes, acknowledges by his death for us, for everyone. He did not exclude anyone. He died for all, rich, poor, all kinds of whoever they are. God himself who created us wants us to be like his son. Today we have a special day in this parish. We recognize and acknowledge, we celebrate this Blue Mass. So we acknowledge all those first responders, wherever they are, the police, EMTs, fire people, everyone who goes And I have to say that today, I don't want to say that the first responder is holy. None of us are. But I have to say this, they don't live the throwaway culture or rejection of people. They respond to everyone in need, everyone. Even those who are murderers, everyone. They go because they wish to take care. This is something so beautiful to see. I remember one also nurse, medical field and missions, and she said, I live in a country where people were so much aware of tribal differences that nurse only from this tribe would help the person from that tribe. They would not serve no matter how much these sisters who were nuns who were trying to help them out. Everybody's in need. But you see, this is the type of model. We go where there's need. We try to help those in need. We try to assist those who are in danger of dying, or those who are hurt profoundly, or those who are in danger of losing their lives on account of fire. That type of response. And often enough, people even take advantage of them, or sometimes causing traps, and yet they go. I don't want to, canonize you today, all of you who are involved with dysfunction as first responders, but however, it is true. It is true. We are to be first responders to everyone across the board, every member of the family, every person who is in need of God's protection. Because the reason for it is that there's something beyond the grave that is awaiting us, something beyond the grave. And this is what even the rich man says, help my brothers, there are 5 of them, they live the same lifestyle as I do. Send someone to tell them, don't do this to yourself, don't destroy yourself. And Jesus says in that parable, will they listen? And then Lazarus, the rich man says, well, at least have someone who comes from the dead, send me or someone to remind them. And Jesus says, even if they don't listen to Moses, don't listen to the prophets, neither will they be persuaded if someone should rise from the dead. And we know that Jesus rose from the dead. How many people still reject him? Maybe then, as we continue the sacred liturgy, where we offer it for the first responders, those who are here, and above all of them in this whole area, that the Lord may grant us a deep sense of love for him, respect for each other, because there's only one commandment, love of God and love of neighbor. There's no other. Whatever we have done to the least of our brothers and sisters, we have done to the Lord. And the last judgment will be based on what we have done out of love for one another.